First and foremost, it's important to say that grief is a natural reaction to loss. So along with grief comes emotions, thoughts, feelings as a result of experiencing a loss of a peer who has died, or anyone who has died for that matter. Having said that, there are some sort of standards that we can go to and look towards that happen across development, meaning where a child or teen is not just in their chronological age, but where they are developmentally, impacts how they understand a loss and impacts how they grieve over time. So for toddlers and younger children, they see the death as reversible. So oftentimes what that means is they think someone who has died will come back. They might be able to recount and say, my friend has died, and they also then might be able to really be thinking, but they'll be at my birthday party, or they'll be at our special class party that happens next week. You might hear them say, my friend Susie died, will she be back at school tomorrow? They also might then worry about other friends that they have. Tommy's my friend too. Does this mean he's going to die? So being able to know that these are normal questions and answer them to the best of your ability in small, bite-sized, age-appropriate language can be very helpful. Kids at this age are also most likely to express themselves through play, so you also might see them playing out a particular scenario based on how someone died even, or the story that they've been told, so know that that can be really normal as well. In terms of what grief looks like during this stage, there can be generalized anxiety, there can be crying, there can be irregular sleep, differences in how someone is able to fall asleep, night wakings, things like that. There can also be really a need to be with a caregiver, parent, adult, maybe that's clinginess. There can also be tantrums that are very appropriate for this age often anyway, but sometimes you might see an increase in that behavior. They also often tell the story to anyone. So they might be walking into the library or a play date and sharing, Susie died, my friend Susie died, X, Y, and Z happened to her. It can be strangers, it can be someone they know really well, so know that that can be very, very normal. There's tons of repetitive questions during this age too. So they're trying to make sense of things, they're trying to understand things, so parents and caregivers might need to retell and recount the same question, the same answer over and over and over again. And lastly, there can often be behavior regression too. So things that they once mastered, things that they once learned, they might need to sort of relearn, remaster these things. If someone was able to tie their shoe, if someone was able to use the bathroom independently, there might be regressions here that you're seeing. So know that that's a commonality as well. So for school-age children, kids who are a little bit older, a lot of what's true for younger kids still holds true during this time. So they often still see the death as reversible, so they might think the person who died could come back. They also might feel a sense of responsibility or worry for what happened, even if it is totally unrelated to them. And so sometimes they might say things like, this is my fault. I was really mad at Susie during recess and I wish that she had died, and then it actually happened. So really being able to revisit with them that nothing is their fault and this is not a result of anything that they said or did in particular can be very helpful. Grief can look a lot like it can with younger kids, so you still might see that disrupted sleep. You might see changes in eating habits during this particular age range. You'll still get the repetitive questions, but they might expand a little more. So they might be questions not just about what happened, how did it happen, but why did it happen? Who else might this or could this happen to? Behavior changes are really, really common during this time. So maybe you're seeing big behaviors, lots of high energy. Maybe you're seeing it look a little quieter and low energy. Physical complaints are another thing that can happen during this developmental time. So that could be headaches, stomach aches, just feeling things within their body. So it's important to consider that whether someone directly knew a peer or classmate or not, it still has an impact on them. If you're in a large school or in a large community, even if someone wasn't a friend, a classmate, quote unquote, close with that person, they still might feel thoughts, emotions, and sort of ripple effects of that loss. So that's really important to keep in mind. I think across the board, no matter what a relationship was with a peer who died, a teen and even a child's world has really been disruptive in a way that they didn't necessarily experience. So some additional things to remember and keep in mind about emotions, behaviors, etc. For some grief responses, they might be more immediate. So you might see them right after someone has died. For others, it might take a little longer for grief to quote unquote show up. The thing to know is that grief will continue to return over time. It's not like you go through stages and check the boxes and it ends. In fact, we revisit grief over time as we go through different milestones in life, and developmentally, as kids and teens get older, they re-grieve at each developmental stage. So know that questions, thoughts, understandings of loss will change over time as your child gets older and meets different developmental stages and milestones. They might have new questions, they might have different questions, or you might even see different types of emotions and behaviors showing up in different ways over time.